guy to go away. My Outlook is just going crazy. Okay, so here we are. Thank you for coming. I'm super excited as I see the list of those of you guys who are here. I'm really excited. I think this is a good size group, and I think we're going to get a lot done. Last quarter when we did this, we ended up with like a crew of about 10 that really stuck it out and finished it, and it worked awesome. So I can't wait. So let's get going. Here's what we're going to do today. Typically these meetings will last, like once we get into the root swing of things and we're just checking in and updating each other, they're less than 30 minutes. I mean, they might be 15 minutes only. This one is going to take a little bit longer because we're going to kind of walk through everything. So, okay, here we go. Hold on, I'm pulling you guys back in front. Okay, so here's the agenda for the day. We are going to review the program and answer any questions that you guys have to get going, review the concept of the 12-week year quickly, discuss what this program actually like consists of. Then we're going to review a sample goal sheet. And then we're going to talk about like our own goals and how to break them into tactics, because that was something that I found out was actually kind of challenging last time. And then we're going to talk about how to lay out our goals like over a 12-week period. I'm doing this too. I have goals. So we'll go through those. Any questions before we get going?
Oh, I have a question. Wait,
Sure.
wait. Am I unmuted? Am I muted or not muted?
Nope, we can hear you.
Okay. So was I supposed to have a worksheet before this?
Nope.
Okay. That was something else. Okay, great. Just making sure.
Soak in. So, okay. So here's the basic deals of the 12-week year program. It's kind of like weekly group coaching where we're coaching each other, right? We need to have a specific business goal. It doesn't have to be business. If you want to focus on a non-business goal, that's fine. And we're going to support you with that. So we're starting today. And the last week, our 12th week will be the week of April 11th through 15th. So we do have spring break in there and we're going to take the week off. That's kind of a nice bonus cushion week. So any questions about that? This will be better if you guys share your questions for sure and speak up. So this is the book. If anyone's interested, you don't need to read the book because we're going to break down step by step what it is. But if you're interested, it's a pretty good book. It's really effective. We kind of we did this without officially doing it kind of all last year by checking in on a monthly basis, but this really gives us specific goals to focus on. So that's what we're going to be doing. And the reason that we do this, I don't know if you guys remember this, but basically when we have annualized goals, like right now I have a list of goals and there's like 13 goals for 2022. To just be like, I'm constantly working on all of these goals can get a little bit overwhelming. So you start the year strong and then you kind of peter out and you get a little bit depressed, and they call that the valley of the despair in the middle of the year when you look around and you're like, I'm not nowhere close to any of my goals. And then so you do a last big push at the end of the year and you get some things done. So the idea is that we are going to shorten the length of time in which we have to complete our goals, but not try to get so many done, right? And so we're going to take our annualized goals and break them down. So in the 12-week year, we use our system that never changes, but our goals are going to change over time every quarter because I'm not focusing on all 13 of my goals right now. I'm going to focus on just a couple of them and kind of knock them out. So, and I say I have 13 goals. There's no like right number of goals to have. Like some of them are like read 30 books. That's like, I'm not going to keep track of myself or be like, I must read 7 books per quarter or anything like that. That's for me for pleasure, just to keep myself kind of accountable. So our weekly routine is this. In the 12-week year, the goal is that you take you choose a few goals to focus on or just one goal to focus on. I've chosen 2 to do in this program. You take your goal, you break it down into tactics of how to get this goal done. How do we break the elephant down into bite-sizable pieces? And then you lay them out over the course of time of like, what tactic do I need to do this week? So then every week you're checking on, you're coming up with a plan of like, these are the 3 tactics that I need to get done this week. And then you look back at the previous week and say, okay, I had 4 tactics last week. How many did I get done? I got 4, I did 100%, or I did 2, I got 50%, whatever. The point is that scoring actually mentally helps you personally hold yourself more accountable. It sounds silly, totally get it, but it works. So it's kind of nice. You'll feel awesome the weeks you have 80 and then some weeks you'll have 20 and you're like, that stinks, or it was so crazy busy with work last week, I just didn't have time, and that's fine. So that's basically what it is. So you score your week and you plan your week on your own. And then once a week you get together with a partner, and we're going to do this in this group, and we just share. And what we found last time is that just the function of having this meeting like on the calendar made us hustle to get our tactics done before the meeting, so that we could show up and like feel proud of ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to the group. And I'm trying to see if anyone in here had was here before, but I think a couple of you guys did it. So anyway, so this is a good quote from Benjamin Franklin: for every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned, which I think is totally true. And you'll see, you know, planning your week is a key component of this. It just keeps you on track. You guys have heard me talk about like the urgent and important matrix, and a lot of these goals are like really important to you and important to your business or important to your life, but they're not things that if they don't get done, no one's going to be on the other end of the phone calling you to ask you why it didn't get done, right? This is something that's important to you. It's not urgent, but it is important. So you have to schedule it. That's the idea behind that. Any questions there? No, so far, so good.
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
Sorry. So we pick one goal a week to score and plan?
No.
Or is it?
So we're going to pick a goal for the quarter, right? The idea is that you have yearly goals, and instead of trying to get all of our yearly goals done all over the course of the year, we're going to take 1 or 2 or 3, whatever you think is realistic, depending on the size of the goal, and focus on just those goals for the next 12 weeks. So you're going to focus on only 1 or 2 goals for the next 12 weeks.
Okay.
So you're going to take that one goal. So you're going to just focus on one big goal, and you're going to break it down into all the steps that you need to do to accomplish that goal. And then you're going to lay it out over the course of 12 weeks. Is your plan going to be perfect? No. Are you going to have to pivot some? Yes. But basically, you're scheduling out the things you need to do so that every week you don't have to be thinking about, oh, what should I do right now? You kind of know, you have a plan, right? So it's not that you're picking a different goal every week to focus on. You're focusing on one goal for the next 12 weeks, so that hopefully at the end of the 12 weeks, it's done. You can celebrate, and then you can move on to more goals for the next quarter. Does that answer your question, Ashley?
Yes. So like, would you recommend, I have this fear of failure. So maybe I should just pick one goal instead of 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
I think that's great. And so here's the deal. Like, even if you don't achieve your goal, you're going to be, if you go through all the steps and work on it, you're going to be so much closer to it. Right. So there's no punishment if you don't get it.
I know, but I just
a week or 2. So yeah, but if there's just one big one that you want to focus on, that's great. There's no judgment. It's just to help us out and hold ourselves accountable. So here's so when we meet every week, this is what we do. We share our scores just so that we can like hold ourselves somewhat accountable and talk about how it went and talk about what worked and what didn't work. And it really takes, I don't know who's on here that was here last week again, because I keep a stupid list, but works. It's here. You just check in once a week and know that you have this kind of like deadline. It's going to be Tuesdays at 2, right? We're going to have a Tuesday at 2 deadline to get done our tactics from the previous week. So anyone have any questions? No. Okay. So again, we have a little scorecard, and I can send this to you. It doesn't have to be official. You're not turning it in. I have this format because I share it with you guys when we check in every week. I'm going to put my little, I had 2 tactics and I got 1 done, so I got 50%, or I'll share this with you guys. This is just, you don't have to do it. You can just keep it in a notebook. You can keep it in your business planning book, just so that you can keep track, right? There's no worksheets or books that go along with this. You're just going to have to figure out a place to kind of keep yourself organized. Does this make sense? How are we feeling? Again, I can't see faces, so let me pull them up. Good. Okay. Thank you, Carrie. All right. Okay. So here is an example of what some goals may look like. Now, this doesn't mean that someone has to do all 3 of these. This person had 3 goals. It might be you just have 1 of them. So they say in the next 12 weeks, I want to lose 10 pounds. I want to improve my listing process by having new collateral. I want to improve my relationship, right? And then, so the first goal, lose 10 pounds. It's like, okay, well, what do I need to do to lose 10 pounds? I need to exercise. I need to, eat low carbs or stop eating processed carbs. I'm going to drink water. I'm going to fast. I'm going to, whatever it is, I'm going to count my macros. Like, and you can see, when is this due? It's like, I'm going to count macros 6 days a week and have 1 day. They broke their goal down into steps and tactics, basically. So that's one example. The goal to improve listing process and listing collateral.
Serene,
Yeah.
could you
Yes.
ask everybody to mute themselves?
Yeah, again, I can't see who, where the noise is coming from, but now I can. Okay, got it. Yes, there we go. Okay, so, the next goal, this is another example goal would be like, I want new listing collateral and figure out how to make my listing process better. Okay, well, what are all the things I can do to help me do that? The first thing I'm going to do is watch our listing resources classes, right? I'm going to outline what I currently have and see where the holes are and figure out what I want to fix. I'm going to meet with agent services. I'm going to order new print collateral. I'm going to study data reporting so that I can give my clients better numbers. I'm going to create template. These are all the things in a perfect world that would help this person have a better listing process and new collateral. And they just broke it down, right? So if your goal is like, I want more listings and I want to do better at listings, it's like, that's a big kind of lofty, undefined goal. It's like, how do we take that goal and break it down into like things I can actually do every week and just spend an hour on and make some headway, so that it's not just this big lofty goal that's floating around, but it's actually steps. And this is the hardest part, I will say, is like picking your goal, making it clear, and then breaking it down into what are things that I can really do to get this done. And we can help each other with that. So we can brainstorm with each other. We can talk one-on-one. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. And then it's just a function of kind of laying it out. And then if you have the goal, I want to make my relationship better. It's like, okay, I'm committing to have a date night once a week. And then you just check in with yourself and make sure that it happens, right? So and that's just an example sheet. But now we're going to talk about how do we break a goal down into tactics. So say you've decided this is the one goal I'm going to focus on this quarter, right? Ashley's going to pick one, or these are the 2 goals I want to do this year. And what you're going to do is you're going to do this exercise for both goals, of course, separately, like on different pieces of papers. And the first one is to make sure that your goal is clearly defined. Like more listings. It's like, that's a good goal, but that's not, we don't know. We're not going to be able to tell at the end of 12 weeks, what does more listings look like? It may be like, I want to have 3 listings, or I want to have 3 listings and a better listing process, whatever it is. Just make sure it's clearly defined and kind of smartly stated. So at the end, we can kind of check and see how we did. So that's the first step. And then the next step is brainstorm tactics that are going to help you achieve that goal. And you kind of have to approach the problem. And this is where you sit with a piece of paper. And this is probably like, sounds overwhelming. It's probably a 15 to 20 minute task max, where you sit down and you really stop and just say, okay, what needs to happen for me to achieve this goal? And these are the questions you can ask yourself. Like, what are the highest priority daily and weekly actions that would help me achieve it? Is there anything I need to have in place for this goal? Is there something that I need that I don't have? Right? Like, one of my goals, like, I know there's an app that can help me. So I need to like figure out, what is that app, right? I need to have that app in order to accomplish my goal. Is there something that I need to understand better? This also is part of one of my goals. Like, there's something I want to do, but I don't quite understand it. So I need to study it a little bit. Can the goal be divided into increments? If your goal was like, my goal is to finish reading the Ninja Selling book, or to finish reading Ninja Selling and reading soundtracks, it's like, okay, between those 2 books, there's 450 pages. So I got to read, sorry guys, I'm not good at math. I got to read 40 something pages a week, or whatever it is, right? And then, so that's can it be broken down into time, and then can it be approached from different angles, right? Is there a different way to think about this goal than what I'm thinking of? So these are just questions to ask yourselves to help you figure out tactics, because a lot of us have challenges like figuring out what our tactics could be. Is this making sense? Hold on, let me open up my screen so I can see faces. Nodding if you're not on video. Yes, thumbs up. Thank you, Allison, Terry, Clay. Okay, good. So once you have all of these like brainstorming done, you need to turn the brainstorming of these ideas into tactics, right? and make sure that your tactics are written effectively. So you don't want to, one of my goals, and this is the goal that I'm actually going to be working on, is learn how to use Outlook tasks. It's basically the to-do list function of Outlook. And as you guys all know and have dealt with me for long enough now, like I'm a psycho about using my Outlook calendar, and like I use every component of Outlook like really intensely except for this. And it's so dumb if like 80% of my workflow is flowing through Outlook, just make the rest of it fit in because it all works together. So, and this has been on my list. You can actually ask, this was one of my goals last year that I did 0 to do. So I'm just putting it in this first quarter to get it done because I know it will help me be more organized and have to go less places for my list of things to do. Like this, for example, this is a list of things to do, which is not very sophisticated and always gets lost. So it's going to live in my phone. So learn how to use Outlook tasks. That's not an effective tactic, right? That's kind of big, but watch 3 YouTube videos. That's better, right? Watch some YouTube videos on the tricks of how to use it. Like read some articles, that's better, right? So it's just a function of making sure that our tactics are clear and make sense. Does this make sense?
Hey, Zareen,
Yes.
I just have a thought. I mean, it might not be a very good idea, but what, are the chances of having like a group, email where, if somebody wants some ideas of tactics, you can share ideas to help support, like, is that?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I mean, just because some people know the system, I mean, it might be, you just never know, like it might help somebody chunk it.
Yeah, totally. So I think there's 3 different ways we can skin this cat. First of all, we're going to talk about it right now, right? A little bit. We're going to do some brainstorming. Second of all, we are going to, we continuously kind of talk about it every week. If someone gets stuck, we can say like, okay, we would be like, we had a new agent that wanted to get more listings and we had experienced agents with us last time. We were like, what would you guys do? Right. So we'll do it throughout. In terms of electronically communicating, I can have a distribution list made for us, but I worry about like junking up people's inboxes when everyone's so busy. We could also do a group. We have a few different options. We could do a group me. We have Microsoft Teams again, since I'm like the Microsoft Outlook poster child. We all have Teams. So we could do like a Teams chat with everybody, but if no one's using Teams, that's pretty useless. Like I think Teams is great, but again, I'm like the nerdy Outlook Microsoft person. So do you guys have opinions? Would you like a way to kind of communicate to each other, or do you think weekly is enough? I can send out a little survey after this. How does that sound?
Zoreen, my
Yes.
thoughts are weekly's fine, and because you're going to email out what you're doing today, correct?
Yeah, I always, every week I send out a, here's what we have going on this week. And it starts to get pretty repetitive because the only thing that's unique about what we're doing is that everyone's executing their own tactics, right? Like we're all doing the same thing, which is planning our week, scoring ourselves, and then coming to the meeting, and then we can talk about it. So yeah,
Well,
but Jennifer,
then I would just say, then people can look at who's on the group today and identify a couple of people, and maybe they call them individually if they're, during the week, scrambling, and then bring their questions back to the next week's meeting.
okay, yeah, that's good. And I can also send out like a list of who all's on the call so that then you guys can kind of reach out to each other. Again, I don't want to, I hesitate to do like group emails because I worry about like a million reply alls. But Jennifer, I appreciate where your head's at, and definitely we'll talk when we get stuck about like, how can we help each other?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to make some,
No, it's a good idea.
Structure. Yeah, just a way to, just a thought of, yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a good idea. Thank you.
I have a question real quick.
yeah.
How many tactics or so do you think we should have for each goal?
It's a good question. And this is where this gets tricky and why it is challenging for us to lay this out, because there's no right rule. There's no rule of thumb. Like last time I had a health goal and I had like the same 9 tactics for every time. And it was like, how many out of 9 did I do? every week, right? And it worked. It got me much closer to what I wanted to be. For my other goal, my work goal, I really only had like 5 things to do over the course of 12 weeks. And that was enough. And I got it done. And it was not that goal was like, I became CE certified like a year ago. And it had been hanging over my head to actually get classes approved and teach a class and figure out how to get it submitted to the state so that you guys for whatever reason, that to me was like so overwhelming, which is so stupid. So that really ultimately that one had like 5 tactics, but I needed the deadline and like the accountability to do it. And now I did it and it's done and it's not hard. And interestingly enough, and you guys are going to see this, the 2 goals that I picked for myself this time are kind of the same way, where there's not that many steps, but both of them have been like hanging over my head and it's so stupid and I just need to do them. So I picked 2 goals that are not that hard, but for whatever reason have been hard. And so I made them my goals and I'm going to knock them out. Does that make sense? So Tracy, it depends on the goal. It may be really complicated. Like the listing collateral one, there might be 20 steps, right? To refine your listing process. That's a big project. But if you break it down into little steps, it's not as overwhelming. Does that help? And we can talk through each of y'all's specific goals one-on-one again, or in a group, and help you break it down. Does that help? Kind of, not really. Okay, good. So here's side by side, like how do I do this? And then this is when I did mine yesterday ahead of time, just so that we could show it. Okay, so the goal, master Outlook tasks and use it as my primary to-do list, right? Instead of my stupid piece of paper and my Outlook note and my random notebook that I carry around. It's like, put it all in one place. So what are my tactics? First of all, I need to understand how it works. Like I know that it's a tool that's built into this other tool, Outlook, that I use all the time, but I don't really understand like, and this is, again, it's not hard. I probably need to watch like 2 videos on YouTube and then I'll understand it. I just haven't done it because it seems like overwhelming to revamp how I'm keeping track of everything. So I need to study how it works, right? Is there anything I need to have in place for this? I need to download an app. I'm going to read, so I need to do some Googling and carve out some time to like watch some videos and read some articles, right? Then once I understand how it works, I need to start putting my new tasks into there versus into my iPhone notes, which is what I currently use. And then I need to start just using tasks and stop using my notes. And then I need to delete it. So these were all of the tactics that I could come up with to help me make the transition. I don't know if you guys have any other ideas for me. Does anyone use tasks right now? Darn. It's like, yeah, that's another one. Ask someone that you know is doing this already. Okay, so this is not like a hard goal, but again, it's been a goal for a year of mine and I haven't done it. So I'm giving myself this deadline of April 12th, right? That's the Tuesday of our last week. And I'm sure it will happen because now I'm like committed to the 22 of you that are on this call, the 19 of you that are on this call to get this done. So now what I need to do, again, so not effective is like general ideas, specific effective, watch 3 videos, read 3 articles, search for any podcasts, whatever. And then the last step is once I have my tactics clearly laid out is like lay them out over time. So that's this step. And this one looks kind of stupid. As I said, because while this goal seems really hard for me, there's not that many tactics to it, right? Watch the 3 videos, read the 3 articles, and search for podcasts. Like the first week is going to be education. And maybe I could make that my first 2 weeks, right? Like give myself some time to like study it and ease into it and get more comfortable with it and start playing with it, kind of like find the app, download it. I know there's an app, I downloaded it already. And then I need to start migrating things and stopping relying on my phone and use this. So then these are my tactics and I just laid them out. So the first week, or if I lay those out over the next 2 weeks, I'm going to have 3 tactics and I'll report back to you guys next week. Did I watch any videos? Did I read any articles? Did I find any podcasts? And then I did 100%. So great. Is my goal done? No, but am I a little bit closer? Am I 1/12 closer? Sure. And that's basically what we're doing. Does this make sense? Again, it sounds kind of silly, but so that's one example. And then this is another example. This is my other goal. And again, this is a dumb one, but for whatever reason, it's been like just not happening. So I made it my goal so that I make it happen. And basically I have two garden boxes that we used during COVID at our house in Colleyville. But right now we're living in a temporary house in North Richland Hill because we're building. And I want to move those garden boxes from the house in Colleyville here and like have my summer garden. Because last summer I had like a couple spots, but we've covered it up with grass and I don't have that space anymore. So I need to create a space for me to have a garden here. And I wanted to do the garden boxes last year and I just didn't do it and didn't do it and didn't do it. Matt's kind of like, he doesn't want to move them. And so I just didn't push it, but I want this to happen for myself. So I'm making it my goal. It needs to happen before the spring. So, because I love having I love growing tomatoes and having herbs, so I can just run out to the garden and like snip whatever when I'm cooking. So these are my tactics. And this is dumb. Like this, I'm not, selling $100 million of real estate or anything crazy, but this is a goal that's been hanging over my head that I haven't done that I need to do. So the tactics are, move the garden boxes, that needs to happen. Fill the garden boxes with dirt, decide what we're planting, research on when those items, I always miss like some things like snow peas need to be planted early, like snow peas and sugar peas, like those things, you plant them early and then they are done like very quickly. And I always miss it. So I need to like do a little bit of research now so I don't miss it and that all of this stuff happens before then. And then I need to go by the plants and like get everything planted, blah, blah, blah. One of those tactics that I have in here is convincing Matt to help me move the boxes so I don't have to do it myself. So that's another tactic that's on my list, but I didn't put it here. So, I mean, that sounds dumb, but it just is a goal that I've wanted to do. We've lived in this house now for 14 months and it was like always my intention to bring them over and I still haven't done it. So it's going to get done. So then what I did was I laid out these tactics. So the first, and I'll probably spread these out a little bit because this is like less urgent than the tasks things, but hopefully all of these things can happen by the end of February. I'll probably spread these things out a little bit more when I actually lay out my timeline, but then I can plant in early March. I think that's when the snow peas happen. I don't know. I need to do the research. So that should probably move up, but does this make sense? I know these are kind of dumb examples, but these are my goals. I have other like goals that I'm working on, but these are the ones I'm focusing on right here to like share. So questions? Does this seem silly, stupid, like it's going to work? Any commentary? Anyone?
I think it's good. I think it's good.
Okay, good. So thank you for sharing. Does anyone already have their goal or goals that they know they want to accomplish by April 12th picked out? Does anyone know, like, this is the goal? Okay, so here's the last piece of this, and I don't want anyone to feel pressure or uncomfortable, but when we meet every week, it helps to share like what we're working on. And you don't have to, of course, like some people are like, I'm gonna show up, but I'm never gonna say a word, and that's totally fine. But it helps when we like have a dialogue and are sharing. I obviously am going to share like everything that I do every week to share with you how it goes. Does anyone want to share their goal, or do they have a goal that they want to do some brainstorming? That's all we've got. This is 30 minutes. That's kind of like the official end, but basically, do we feel clear on how to move forward or what we need to be doing? Because what we need to be doing this week is picking our goal and breaking it down into tactics.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So is it just too vague to say that you want to sell or close a certain amount of, dollar-wise real estate by that date? Is that just too vague? I mean, is that, is it too vague?
I don't think so. I mean, so here's the deal. Like, there are goals like that we can't control. Like, we have an agent that she really wants to sell this listing of her family's in Fort Worth. And I'm like, it's really hard to say, like, I want to sell this house by a certain date because you have to have a buyer and it's a very unique house. And so that's hard. But as an agent, I think you know what you need to do, Ashley, to get yourself busy and to sell real estate, to get more business. So to have a goal, a specific goal in mind to say, like, I want to have 3 listings and sell $3 million by April 12th or whatever your number might be. It's like, okay, that's a good goal. Let's work backwards on what all the tactics are. At the end of the day, if you have 2 listings and you sold 2.5, but you have a big pipeline because you've been doing all of these things to get yourself busy, you're not going to be like, oh, I failed, right? You're going to feel good about it because you moved yourself closer and you did all the right things. So I think that's a fine goal. That happened to us last time where one of our agents was like, I want to have 3 listings. And she's like, you know what, I didn't get 3 listings, but I have all of these buyers and I did so much more business than I thought I was going to do. And I understand that the function of the market right now is to not have that many listings. So I'm okay with it. She felt really, really good. She didn't have her 3 listings technically, but it made her so much busier doing all the activity that she wanted to do to try to get them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so then it's like, okay, so if your goal, whatever, you can share with us what it is, then like, what are all of the steps that you would do to make that happen for yourself? In the past, like, how do you get business?
Well, most of my business comes from, my friends or referrals from my friends. So, and only because I don't like to have to sit here and prove myself to strangers. I don't know why.
No, that's okay. I mean, when you've been in
Maybe
the
it's
business a long
fear
time,
of, I don't know, rejection. I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I just had wrote it down that I wanted to, and I had a range. I want to close 5 to 8 million by the April for 13th.
okay,
I had a
perfect.
range, but and I have one in particular, buyer that's, for that lot in Preston Hollow. I mean, he's ready to go yesterday, but it's just finding it. So it's
Right.
sort of like, so what are your tactics to find it? I mean, I know besides calling every agent directly, it's just, anyway, it's just frustrating because it is harder to find things.
Yeah, so those sound kind of like like you have this general volume goal, but you also have this specific client that you want to help.
Yeah.
So, and you said you get.
Maybe
deals-
break it down and say,
Yes.
I want to find him a lot by April 14th.
Sure. Yes, and you can say like, okay, so what are the things that I can do to find him a lot? I can call every agent in my network, Briggs Freeman or not, right?
Mhm.
And so calling every agent in your network may be unrealistic if you know 100 agents, but maybe it's call 15 agents a week, right? Or 7 agents a week or whatever's come 3 a day, whatever it needs to be. Call 3 agents a day and say, hey, I have this need. Have you heard of anything? That's a tactic. Driving up and down every street is a tactic just to see what there is to see. And
Right.
it'll remind you of deals that you've done or people that you know,
Or write letters to
Sending out letters
like
is-
drive up and down the street and then write the
Yep.
letters to the houses that are accordingly.
yeah.
Okay.
See if there's any expired listings in that area, right?
Okay.
Like there's a lot of, so you guys have been agents forever. Like who else has other ideas for what Ashley can do to specifically find this guy a lot? Put a buyer need out there on social media.
Oh yeah, I've done that.
You know?
I do that every week.
Yeah, but not to agents, just to general people.
Oh,
Right?
you mean, like generally on my Instagram for everybody?
Yeah, like, hey, I have a buyer that's looking
for
for this, and this. You may not be thinking about selling, but if you or anyone you know,
Yeah,
like might
that's
have a
good.
property, like let me know. That'll just drum up probably regular business and help you with your other just volume
Yeah.
goal. I don't understand why agents don't do that more with their buyer needs. I think it's so smart when
I just do it with other agents and
right. But I mean, other agents don't necessarily have properties to sell, but your sphere does.
right.
Right.
I think it also helps to, when you're putting out buyer needs right now, if it's gonna kind of unlock a listing, everybody's like, oh yeah, I would sell, but where will I go? And I think helping other agents kind of say, oh, I've got this buyer need. And once they find something, I'll have XYZ to sell.
Right.
It kind of creates that abundance of I'm bringing more inventory to the market if I can.
Right, well, that's
find
true.
this, and it,
Right,
it
so-
makes it feel
Okay.
a little bit more reciprocal or
Mhm.
give and take to say, I'm offering this if you can help me find this. You know what I mean?
Right. Only thing is like, he won't be able to sell his house in Highland Park until his new house is built on that lot. So it's like, okay, I have something for you in 2 years.
Yeah. It's tricky. I know right now this market
Yeah.
is so tough, but
It is
actually it's
so
just,
hard.
yeah. And it's just thinking
Frustrating.
about what you can do and then keeping a running list of tactics, right? So you'll have the tactics that you thought of. And then as you see other agents doing things, or you can always add a tactic, right?
Mhm.
So,
Thank you.
does that help?
That helps. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else have one they want to talk through?
I have one that I'm kind of going back and forth with on how to word it. Because my goal is build stronger relationships with people in my database would be one of my goals. But I don't know if that would be like a tactic of trying to get more business, but I'm not really money driven. So every time that I put money as my goal, I don't usually like, I'm not as like go getter towards it. I'm more like people and relationships driven and helping. So I put one of my tactics as being proactive and connecting people together for the better good.
Okay, so that let's unpack that. And there's two parts.
Okay.
So you said like build stronger relationships with your database. Like what would that look like in April when we look back? What would you what would have to happen for you to be like, I did that?
Yeah, I'm not positive. I just want to know, like, there's people in my database where I'm like, I don't know where they came from or who they are or where they're working, or how they got in there, or you know what I mean? Like, but like really having actual meaningful connections with everybody in my database.
So how big is your database?
So it's 400 right now. So I know that it needs to get like, I need to go through it. So that's like, that would be one of the tactics, right?
Yeah, that's a tactic.
Okay.
So go through and figure out like what is the source of this person and what do they need to be tagged as, right? And then as you do through that exercise, which probably is more than just a one week tactic, it will remind you of people. And then maybe your goal, maybe a tactic could be like recommend 2 people every week to someone.
Okay, great.
Right? Like be a go-giver. Maybe one of your tactics needs to be read the go-giver, right? That sounds like what you're trying to do a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to, and then somehow in there, I was thinking like, working the Ninja scorecard weekly, as well.
So
as, like, my second goal.
you use the Ninja planner, right, Tracy?
Yeah, I do. And I want to be more consistent because when I was doing the Ninja scorecards, I was doing a lot better.
Well, then why don't you make that a tactic? Because Ninja's all about the database. Why don't you make that, lean into that a little bit? And every week I don't know what the Ninja scorecard really looks like, but maybe one of your tactics every week is do the Ninja scorecard, because you're either going to do it or not and give yourself credit for it or not, like every Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
And having this deadline and this like open commitment now to the 19 of us is hold you accountable, because it works. It's to your advantage to do it. It's just
absolutely.
You need a little nudge.
Yeah. So I think that my tactics would be going through my database and tagging A and B, and then making a system to reach out to everybody so that I'm making phone calls. So maybe it's a number of phone calls every day to my database to, to make those connections, to find, to actually talk to these people.
Yeah. And maybe it's like 20 minutes a day on my database and 5 phone calls or whatever. Yeah. I just pulled numbers. I don't know what your schedule looks like. That's up to you, but do something that you can commit to.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Is this a helpful conversation to kind of see how this is going?
Hi, Zareen. I actually just started last week and I did orientation on Thursday, and I actually thought this was the new agent public training. So, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I think for me, setting some goals are going to be kind of shorter goals, like, getting my database put in and get through some things and making connections with, within the community here at my office.
Perfect. I love it. That's good. Yeah. The Agent Basics classes are always Friday mornings at 9 a.m. And there is one this Friday. There wasn't last Friday. So, but that's good. Welcome. And you'll learn so much just listening because there's lots of awesome agents on this call. It'll be good way to start. So, okay. Do you guys, we can talk about more goals and tactics if anyone wants to. Do you feel clear on like what you need to do for next week? Because my goal would be that next week, in 1 week, on Tuesday at 2:00 next week, that everyone would come and have a goal and have it. Can you guys see my screen? My messages popping up on my screen? I don't know if you can see that or not. Sorry, my best friend just had a baby, so it's very exciting. And my text messages are popping up. I have a Mac. They're popping up in the corner of what it looks like you guys can see. So maybe you can't see it.
Yay, congratulations.
I know, it's so fun.
So
They've tried
excited.
for a long time, so very exciting. Welcome, baby Paxton. So anyway, so what we're gonna do for next week is make sure you have a goal, and then make sure you have your tactics laid out. And then if you can, get going on your tactics. I don't want you guys to feel like stressed out or overwhelmed by doing this. Like, the reason that you're here is to like help you and encourage you and give you a little bit of focus and accountability. Like, I don't want anyone like stressing out over this. But it's just to give you some structure. And as you're thinking of your goal, if you're like, I have my goal and I'm totally stuck on what I need to do, like, let's set a time, and in 20 minutes, we can like troubleshoot it together and come up with a really good plan for you, I think. Does that make sense? Does anyone have questions?
No.
I missed the first couple of minutes as my Zoom had to update software.
Fine.
Are you gonna email us the slideshow from today?
Yes, I am happy to do that. I will email you the slideshow. So I also will, we don't record every week because it's really just us checking in with each other, and there's not really any reason to, but I did record today because there's a handful of people that are like getting on a plane or something, or just have a showing. I'm going to send out the link to this video also. You guys are here, so you don't need to rewatch it, but I'll send an email with the list of people who have registered, the PDF of this slideshow, and then the link to this video, so that you can kind of, and also kind of like, here's your next steps for next week when we meet. Hopefully this is what we have together. And if you need help getting it together for yourself, then just give me a call and I will help. So
I have one quick question.
sure.
So what, like, what's it, I mean, so if I'm doing this and then your business planning meeting thing that I missed yesterday, but, is it like, I know it's different, but.
Yeah, so here's the difference.
here's the
So
difference.
business planning is 2 1-hour sessions, and you're gonna go through the act of figuring out, what do I even want my goals to be? What do I need to do this year in my business? What do I need to do this year in my life, right? That's setting annualized goals. So in theory, if you're here, it's because you already have your goals and you want to focus on one of them. But you can come to business plan and give yourself like annualized goals. So when you get the 1 or 2 goals that you have for this quarter done, next quarter, you can be like, okay, now what am I focusing on? Right.
Okay, well, I think I'll just do this thing because I've already sort of, written down or thought about my like annualized goals.
Okay. So in business, the only difference is that in business planning, Ashley, and it may be helpful for you if one of your goals is to sell a certain amount, is the first class, there are some like business analysis techniques that help you evaluate your current business, and could be helpful to you in figuring out like what's working in your business or maybe what isn't working in your business. They're just 2 totally different things. This is about execution. That's more about like planning and strategizing. So they're different. I would at least come to the first one, but I don't know.
So the first one was yesterday.
Tomorrow.
right?
No. The first one's tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Oh, the first
on
one's
Zoom.
tomorrow. And
Yeah.
is that 1 hour? 1 hour?
It's 1 hour. It's CE approved. So if you pay me like the $10 and want the CE credit, I can get you, it's elective CE.
Okay.
So no pressure.
Okay.
And there's video of it, of course, if you can't make it tomorrow, but I do
It'll
think
be
it's
really tight tomorrow because I have some other appointments and I got tight.
I think it's a good way to kind of, if you haven't done it in a while, it's a good way to kind of assess your business and help you come up with some strategies. So you're being strategic. And
So you
really
are going to
understand
record
it.
it, right? You said.
Always. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Anyone have anything else? All right. Send me your thoughts and feedback. I will shoot y'all an email with a little summary of everything, and hopefully see you next Tuesday.
Okay,
Okay.
thank
Bye,
you
guys. Thanks.
so much. Bye.
Thanks, Irene.
Thank you.
Thank you.